Welcome to Soft Talk. In this episode of the program, I'll talk about the MCC controversy, the Millennium Challenge Corporation controversy, and try to go a bit beyond that. So, welcome to the show. Of late, I have been consuming quite a lot of stuffs on the Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact. This is because the MCC Compact has, for better or for worse, emerged as one of the most controversial topics of our times here in Nepal. There are some enlightened minds that have been alarming the public that the MCC is more dangerous for Nepal than the East India Company was for India. On the other hand, there are some razor sharp minds from the pro MCC camp. These people are arguing that nothing can be further from the truth. At this point, it is worth recalling that successive governments, despite different ideological leanings, had tried quite hard to keep the whole compact under wraps. At the same time, they had tried quite hard. They had tried inconspicuous ways to get the compact through the sovereign parliament. This hush-hush affair, this lack of transparency gave the objective thinkers, uh, the impartial thinkers, something to ponder over. They were wondering all the time as if like something was wrong with this whole affair. This was quite unbecoming of federal, secular, democratic, republican governments. But then what can one expect from the leaders that consider democracy as nothing more than their maidservant? Then came a handful of public intellectuals and political leaders. These people had the nerve to speak their minds about this compact. So, after a series of YouTube interviews, news reports, op-ed pieces, press conferences, and public speeches, the Nepalese know far more about the pros and cons of this compact. Indeed, we have come a long way from the times when everything about the MCC Compact was under wraps. This late awakening about the MCC Compact, I think, is a good thing for the Nepal and the Nepalese. For democratic systems to thrive, awakening of the masses is necessary. But this has hardly happened in Nepal, where electoral democracy rules. Literally, we wake up only during elections to cast our votes in a space of roughly 3 years. Midterm elections have become the norm rather than the exception in Nepal. This means the voters have to wake up by cutting short their quote unquote sleep to cast their votes. Our voting habits are also quite unique in themselves. Many of us cast our votes for a certain party just because our ancestors also voted for the same party. Maybe you are not one of them, no offense intended, but there's no shortage of people who weigh in on the direct benefits they get for choosing a certain political party over the other. Direct benefits may include wads of cash, feasts, promise of a lucrative job, promise of a lucrative promise of attractive construction contracts, etc., etc., etc. There are staunch loyalists of parties, different political parties, but their number seems to be decreasing in this day and age of instant gratification. After casting their votes, as I pointed earlier, most of the people think that their duty is over. They leave the reins of the country at the hands of political leaders. They do not bother to think that this country is too important to be left to corrupt politicians. This act of leaving the affairs of the country entirely to the leaders is like the masses going to sleep in broad daylight. Of course, indoctrinated political cadres remain awake and alert almost all the time, but their alertness hardly serves any purpose for the larger public. This is because these cadres cannot go beyond party loyalties uh, and stand for this protecting the larger interest of the public. Indeed, Nepal has paid heavy prices at different time periods, with the Nepalese leaving the reins of power entirely at the hands of a bunch of politicians by taking them as some sort of saviors. Despite feeble protests from those who remained somewhat awake, politicians of different hues and colors, whether they are dictators, democrats, socialists, or communists, they have compromised national interest with foreign powers to remain in power. The 1950s Peace and Friendship Treaty with India is a vivid example. Then came the Kosi Agreement on April 25, 1954. This agreement effectively gifted the Kosi to India at the expense of Nepal and the Nepalese. This gifting was done perhaps in recognition of the role that India had played in overthrowing the Rana regime. Later, the Kosi barrage would turn the sorrow of Bihar into the sorrow of Nepal. The Kosi River was then called the sorrow of Bihar, but the construction of the Kosi barrage would turn the sorrow of Bihar into the sorrow of Nepal. I have talked about this barrage in my earlier presentations also, so I ask the watchers, watchers of my channel, the listeners, to just go through it again. Then came the Gandak Agreement during the premiership of none other than the democratically elected BP Koirala. This agreement gifted the Gandaki River system to India despite stiff opposition against the sellout from a sleepy democracy. In the 1990s, Indian support for political forces waging a struggle against the Panchayat regime did not come for free. The democratically elected Girija Prasad Koirala government swiftly handed over the Mahakali River to the dear neighbor by misusing the sovereign parliament. In cahoots with the communists, the CPN-UML, that was the party, the Communist Party back then, and the party of the Panchas, the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party. The Koirala government, in cahoots with the CPN-UML, the Communist Party, and this party of the Panchas, the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, signed this controversial Mahakali treaty with India that was akin to the sellout of the Mahakali River, the mighty river. There were stiff protests against this treaty, but the government went ahead with it. Then, about 13 years ago, Nepal again had to part with a pound of flesh for India's support for the abolition of the monarchy and the establishment of a federal secular democratic republic through a 12-point understanding reached in New Delhi. Over the years, successive governments in Nepal have gone on to gift the Upper Karnali, Arun III, and Lower Arun to New Delhi for her support in the overthrow of this regime. Despite they have gone on with these sellouts, despite opposition, despite protests from the subjects of a sleepy republic. Awakening awakened people raising concerns with the government about the MCC is a very good thing. But this quest for accountability and transparency should go beyond the MCC. The awakened masses should have the audacity to ask the government why Nepal was made to lose her pound of flesh after every political transformation. Together, these people should have the energies to protest relentlessly against the sellouts that I mentioned earlier. They should have the energies to press the government to seek reparations and a revision of those deals and treaties in favor of this country and successive generations of Nepalese. If this striving for the correction of historical wrongs leads to knocking of some of the so-called superhumans, the messiahs of democracy, human rights, and socialism from their high pedestal, then so be it. Let public intellectuals and the select few political leaders known for their intellectuality and integrity. The rest of the leaders have their places secured in the dustbin of history. So the public intellectuals and the political leaders known for their intellectuality and integrity lead the masses and the whole of Nepal towards light from a long tunnel of darkness spanning across time and space. With this remark, I wrap up this edition of Soft Talk. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.